My name is Sarah, and I'm 29 years old. I've been a freelance graphic designer for the past 5 years. I like working from home because it gives me the freedom to choose my projects. My husband, Liam, is 34 years old and works as a project manager for a construction company. He's often busy at work, but he always makes time for me. We've been married for 3 years, and life has been good. Liam's family has been a bit tricky for me. He has a younger sister, Emily, who is 20, and goes to college in the same city as us. When I first met Emily, she seemed nice and friendly. Liam talked a lot about how close they were growing up, and I admired that. But over time, I started noticing some things that made me feel uneasy about her. It all started when Emily began visiting our apartment often. At first, I didn't mind because I thought she was adjusting to college life and maybe feeling lonely, but soon, her visits became too frequent. She'd come by unannounced, stay for hours, and even spend the night sometimes. She'd always greet Liam with a big hug and act like she belonged there. Liam thought she was just being friendly, but I felt something was off. One evening, after Emily left, I talked to Liam. "Don't you think Emily comes over a bit too much?" I asked gently. Liam looked surprised. "She's just adjusting to college life, Sarah. She probably feels comfortable here with us." I didn't say more. Liam was protective of his sister, and I didn't want to cause any issues. But Emily's behavior started getting worse. She'd sit very close to Liam, laugh loudly at his jokes, and interrupt our conversations with stories from their childhood. Liam thought it was harmless, but I felt like an outsider in my own home. What bothered me more was how Emily acted differently when Liam wasn't around. One afternoon, Liam was at work, and Emily dropped by unannounced. She walked in like she owned the place and barely said hello to me. I offered her tea, but she said, "No thanks. I'm just here to grab a few things Liam left for me." As she looked around the living room, she gave me a sly smile. "You know, Sarah, I'm surprised Liam settled down so quickly. He's always liked his freedom." I kept my voice calm. "People change. Marriage suits him." She shrugged. "Maybe. But don't you think it's strange? You're older than him. Maybe he felt pressured to settle down." Her words hurt, but I didn't let it show. "Liam and I are happy, Emily. That's what matters." She just smirked and left. I felt uneasy but decided not to tell Liam. I didn't want to cause problems. But Emily's behavior only got worse. A few weeks later, we had a family dinner at our apartment. Emily spent the whole evening talking to Liam and ignored me. When I tried to join the conversation, she'd talk over me. At one point, she said, "Wow, Sarah, you're so quiet tonight. Are you okay?" She sounded sweet, but her eyes told a different story. Liam laughed. "Sarah's just a good listener." I forced a smile but felt left out. After everyone left, I told Liam how I felt. "Liam, Emily's behavior makes me uncomfortable. It feels like she's trying to come between us." Liam looked surprised. "Sarah, that's silly. Emily's my sister. She wouldn't do that." "I'm not saying she means to, but her actions aren't normal," I said. Liam sighed. "You're overthinking it. Emily's just young and a little clingy. She'll grow out of it." I felt defeated and dropped the subject, but I knew something wasn't right. Emily's behavior wasn't just immaturity. There was more to it. Things got worse when Liam went out of town for work. On the second night, Emily showed up at our apartment. She said she lost her apartment keys and needed a place to stay. I didn't want to let her in, but I didn't have a choice. At first, everything was fine. We had dinner and watched a movie. But later, while I was cleaning the kitchen, she leaned on the counter and said, "Liam and I are very close. Closer than most siblings." I kept washing dishes. "That's nice. Family bonds are important." She stepped closer and whispered, "Sometimes, I think Liam regrets marrying you." He'd never say it, but I can tell. Her words sent a chill down my spine. "Emily, I think you should leave," I said firmly. She laughed coldly. "Relax, Sarah. I'm just joking. Don't take it so seriously." That night, I locked my bedroom door and barely slept. When Liam came back, I told him everything. This time, he listened. "I'll talk to her," he said. When he confronted Emily, She denied it all and acted innocent. Liam believed her, but I could tell he was starting to have doubts. The breaking point came a few weeks later. Liam had left for work, and I was busy with a project. Emily showed up again unannounced. She sat on the couch, scrolling through her phone. "Sarah," she said suddenly, "do you ever feel like you don't belong here?" I looked up. "What do you mean?" She smiled. "This is Liam's home, his family, his life. You're just visiting." Her words hurt. "This is my home too. Liam and I built this life together." She shrugged. "If you say so. But blood is thicker than water." That was enough. I stood up. "Emily, you need to leave. Now." She stared at me but didn't say anything. Then she got up and left. That evening, I told Liam what happened. He was furious. "She's gone too far. I'll handle it," he said. After that, Emily stopped visiting as much. When she did, she was more polite. It felt like things were getting better, but I couldn't shake the feeling that this wasn't over. Months went by, and life seemed normal again. Liam and I focused on our relationship, and Emily stayed away. But deep down, I knew she wasn't done. Her presence felt like a shadow, and I couldn't help but wonder what she'd do next. Then one evening, Liam received a phone call from Emily. I watched as his expression shifted from calm to tense. When he hung up, he turned to me. "Emily said someone broke into her apartment," he explained. "She's really shaken up. She wants to stay here for a few days." I sighed, knowing I couldn't say no. "If she needs a place, we can't refuse her," I said reluctantly. When Emily arrived, she looked upset, but I couldn't help but notice how her behavior seemed calculated. She clung to Liam, thanking him repeatedly for letting her stay. That night, as I was cleaning up after dinner, Emily came into the kitchen. "Thanks for letting me stay," she said. Her tone seemed sincere, but her eyes were cold. "It's just so scary to think someone would break into my place." "I'm sure Liam will help you figure everything out," I replied, keeping my voice neutral. She smirked. "Of course he will. He always takes care of me." Her words hung in the air, and I felt my patience wearing thin. "Emily, you're safe here, but this is still my home, and I need you to respect that." She raised an eyebrow, clearly amused. "Of course, Sarah. I'll try not to get in your way." Over the next few days, Emily's presence became more intrusive. She followed Liam around the house, asking for his help with trivial things and making snide comments when she thought I wasn't listening. I tried to stay calm, but it was exhausting. One afternoon, while Liam was out running errands, Emily cornered me in the living room. "You know," she began, "Liam deserves someone who really understands him. Someone who's always been there for him." I met her gaze, refusing to back down. "Liam and I love each other. That's what matters." She laughed, a sharp, bitter sound. "We'll see how long that lasts." That night, I finally told Liam everything. "I can't do this anymore," I said. "Emily's behavior is too much. She's trying to drive us apart." Liam looked troubled, but nodded. "I'll talk to her again. This has to stop." The next morning, Liam sat down with Emily. I stayed in the bedroom, not wanting to get involved. Their voices were low at first, but soon I heard Emily shouting. "You're taking her side over mine?" she yelled. "This isn't about sides, Emily," Liam replied firmly. "You've been disrespectful to Sarah, and it needs to stop. If you can't treat her kindly, you can't stay here." Emily stormed out of the apartment, slamming the door behind her. I felt a mix of relief and guilt, but I knew it was the right decision. In the weeks that followed, Liam and I worked on rebuilding the peace in our home. Emily didn't contact us, and I finally felt like I could breathe again. But deep down, I knew this wasn't the end. Emily's presence still loomed over us, a shadow that refused to